Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 4 now of the Kingsmen Sports Podcast. I am Matthew King, joined alongside Jacob Sullivan to start this week, because by the time this is coming out, it's draft day. Happy NFL draft day, the first round taking place tonight. We're recording this on Monday this week. Some things could change. There could be trades that go on before that. Who knows what's going to happen? This is one of the most unpredictable drafts, I think, in recent years. So we decided we'd have some fun with it, and we'd each come up with our own first-round mock draft. We're only going to do one round. And we also decided we're not even going to really talk about trades at all, because those are nearly impossible to predict. We're just going to go with what the order is at this very moment, and then just kind of roll from there. We also decided we'd come up with a little bit of a game for it, a competition between Jacob and I. If that team picks the same position you have them projected as picking, that is 1 point for you. So you can earn 1 point just all the way through if they just pick the same positions, but you can get all the players wrong, but still end up with a solid 32 points. However, if they pick the exact same player you projected them to get, that is plus 3 points. So you could earn a maximum of 3 per pick, and then 1 if they just go a different route, which I don't anticipate either of us, having a perfect mock draft, because I don't think that ever happens.
We're not experts.
Yeah, no, this was pretty tough.
We don't have
actually spent
top sources like some of these guys. So
yeah, I DM'd Todd McShay and he didn't get back to me, so it was a little bit of a bummer there. But other than that,
what's going on?
We're gonna give it our best. Once again, we appreciate so much all the support we've been getting. I'm trying to do a little bit better on our socials. I've been lacking with that quite a bit. A lot of stuff going on right now. A lot of exciting high school sports on the Eli and NFHS Sports Network. So been pretty busy with that, but hopefully we'll be able to get those socials really rolling and get into more of a groove posting there as well. Let's hop right into it. Our 2022 NFL mock draft, round number 1. Jacob, who is going to be the first overall pick in the draft this year?
With the first overall pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars do not surprise anyone, and they go with Michigan's own Aidan Hutchinson. I know there's been a lot of talk about a couple other guys just climbing through the ranks these last few days and even weeks, but he is the clear-cut number 1 choice, and I think he'll make a really good duo with Josh Allen there in Jacksonville for many years to come.
So I did not go the highly anticipated way, I guess you should say. I went with an offensive lineman. I went with Ekwonu from North Carolina State, and I went there because with a guy, you just spent your number 1 overall pick the year before on a quarterback, and that quarterback got beat up mightily this season. They could not protect him at all, and they've got some solid weapons for him, so I don't think that's necessarily going to be an issue. But you got to keep Trevor Lawrence upright if you want to win games. And Ekwonu, he is the best offensive lineman in this draft. I think there's a couple of other guys that could go number 1, but Ekwonu, I just think, makes the most sense for the situation that Jacksonville's facing. Again, they've got some good young players on defense that it's still, I think, a little too early to tell if they're going to be boom or bust. So I think go with a safe bet, go with an offensive lineman, give Trevor Lawrence a little bit more protection, and see where you can go from there.
That's all interesting. Right. Okay.
Number 2.
This is where I went off the books and off the railings. I've been looking at all of the transition between, what the experts were saying a month and a half ago to just a couple days or even a week ago. I think the Lions are going to surprise everyone. I think they're going to be scared that their guy is going to get taken before they can get him later on in the first round. And I think they're going with Willis out of Liberty, QB2. While Goff is still there, I think they're dropping Goff after this year. I think that they're not getting what they think that they paid for. I think they're going to part ways and have Willis be their QB1.
I like Malik Willis. I do. I actually am going to spoil it for everyone. I don't have him going in the first round. This is a weird year for quarterbacks. Not a lot of guys that are really eye popping. I think the popular position this year is what I have going number 2, and I've got Aidan Hutchinson from Michigan going number 2. I think the Lions are invested a little bit too much money. Obviously, it wasn't their call in Jared Goff, but I think they showed some potential in what they could do. One thing that does concern me, they had the second worst pass rush win rate in 2021. They could not get to the quarterback at all. They have to find a way to put some sort of pressure on the quarterback, because it doesn't matter what quarterback you're facing. If you just let him sit back there and take all the time in the world, he's going to end up dicing you up. He's going to end up having a pretty big day. They got to find someone to go get the pressure. And I think Aidan Hutchinson, like you said, I think is obviously going to be the first to go. I don't think that was the case a year ago. I think his breakout year at Michigan, getting them to the playoff, I think really separated him. But I think his leadership skills also really have him jumping out. So I have Aidan Hutchinson going number 2. Let's move on to number 3, the Houston Texans.
Out of Oregon, Kayvon Thibodeaux. I think I said that right?
Yeah. You sounded pretty good to me.
Okay. Those French names, I tell you. The Texans don't have a gap they need to fill. They are dry docking that boat and just from scratch. They need the best value they can at pick number 3. I think one of the best defensive guys there. They still address a major need that they had ever since losing Watt. Even before he went to Arizona, they lost Watt, and I think that he can really fill that role while just having that big, valuable player that early in the draft.
Like you said, Jacob, I think the Houston Texans are the hardest team to project. I really think anything can happen here. They could go anywhere. I don't think they touch a quarterback. I think they'll wait until next draft or next offseason, see where the dominoes lay. I have them going offensive line just like Jacksonville. I have them taking Neal from Alabama. I think offensive line is really where you build your team. Start from there and work your way out. A good offensive line can make an average team look good, a bad team look average, and so on and so forth.
Right.
Get your quarterback a little bit of protection. Don't have him under duress, especially a young guy like Mills. And your offensive line can also help your run game a lot. And I think that's where Neal really shines. I think he's a good run blocker. I think he can really do it all. And I think he's a very safe pick for the Texans to try and, like you said, start from scratch, start this whole thing over and see if they can get back to being a real contender in that division. Number 4 sits the New York Jets. Where you have them going, Jacob?
This is kind of another one that a couple weeks ago probably would have been super controversial. I'm just hearing a lot of connections. I'm going cornerback out of Cincinnati, Sauce Gardner. I think that you never liked the original. This guy reminds me of Richard Sherman. He does. His game IQ is just phenomenal. 0 touchdowns allowed in college. Jets will need that in their division. They are going up against some tough wide receivers. I think that they're going to load up on corners, and he's going to be a lock to be great straight out the gate.
I also have the Jets going corner, so I like where you're going there. I have them going Derek Stingley Jr. out of LSU. A lot of people are kind of dropping him down on this list. He's had some injury issues as of late, but I think when he's healthy, he's the best corner out there. The difference between him and Gardner, I think, really comes down to who Stingley was playing in a college. He was playing the SEC. He was playing the best of the best when it comes to college football. I know I can't stand the SEC either, but they're pretty good at football. Gardner, he was playing in a mid-major. He's incredible. He's going to be a top 10 pick without a doubt. But I just give the slight edge to Stingley Jr. I don't think the Jets necessarily always worry about guys who have injury past when it comes into the draft. I don't think they worry about the one-year wonders either. We saw that last year with Zach Wilson, them taking a shot on him. So I think the Jets are going to throw a little bit caution to the wind and take the guy who, when he's healthy, is going to be the best corner in this draft. I think that's Stingley Jr.
That is the reason that I went Sauce over Stingley, is that injury. I think that the Jets need somebody a little more urgently than some other teams who can wait and see how that injury plays out.
So let's move into number 5, the other team from New York, the Giants. What you got there?
I went offensive lineman out of Alabama, Neal. One of the better offensive linemen in the draft. I think the reason that Giants are going Neal over Ickey is I think Ickey's actually a better run blocker than Neal, and I don't think the Giants need as much help with Beastie Saquon there. I see Neal being the pass blocker guy that really eases some of Danny Boy's suffering, because he is suffering.
I disagree with that. I think the Giants need all the offensive line help on both sides. They got to keep Saquon Barkley on the field because he has not been able to last a season. I have them going defense. I have them going Kayvon Thibodeaux. I got to watch Thibodeaux a lot, being a fan of Washington State playing in the Pac-12. I saw the Cougs play Thibodeaux, and Thibodeaux's an absolute game wrecker. When he's on, he just dominates the game like you don't see from too many guys, especially coming out of college. He was the number one recruit coming out of high school up in Canada, I believe was where he was at. And then coming down to Oregon, having a little bit of an injury issues, but when he's healthy, he's just on. And as soon as he's on the field, he's the same, regardless if he's coming off an injury or if it's coming into a new season. It doesn't seem like injuries really hold him back on the field. They might hold him out of the games, but when he's on the field, he's going to be a game wrecker. And I think that's what the Giants need. Put some pressure on these opposing quarterbacks in their division. And he's athletic enough to go after these scramblers. I mean, the quarterbacks in that division, I know Carson Wentz, he can scramble, not quite to the extent of the other two as Dak and Jalen Hurts. You have to have a guy to go chase down these athletic, fast quarterbacks. I think Thibodeaux is the guy who can do that. Moving into number 6, another interesting one, the Carolina Panthers. A lot of people thinking they go many different directions. Which way do you see them going?
At first, I had them going quarterback, but there's so many mid-par guys that they can use until next year, possibly, like a Baker Mayfield kind of fill gap. That coach is needing some help to keep his job. I'm thinking that they're going to go offensive linemen to protect whoever they get as the fill gap for their quarterback until next year. And I see them getting Ickey. I think that he's known as Mr. Pancake. So going a long way to help their offensive line struggles and give their quarterback some relief there. A lot of offensive linemen going early this year.
I had them going quarterback at first too. When I initially did this, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I also changed my mind because I think they do end up with Baker Mayfield. I have them going defense, though. I have them going with one of the best players in this draft. That is edge rusher Travon Walker from Georgia. He was sensational for the Bulldogs. Again, he's one of those one-year wonder guys on an absolute unbelievable college defense, one of the best defenses I've ever seen at the college level. They were absolutely incredible. He gives them kind of another young guy on that defense to try and build around. I think time is running out on Matt Rule in Carolina. Obviously, Sam Darnold isn't the answer. I'm concerned about a guy like Christian McCaffrey, maybe headed elsewhere. But I think if they build a defense, that'll attract maybe a better quarterback to come and play in Carolina and help them out. So I think Travon Walker is a great pick, whoever he goes to, but I think it'll be in Carolina.
And I have him going next, actually, to the Giants. Giants having the 5 and the 7, they have some wiggle room to play with. I think that they address the offense first and then immediately come back. And Travon Walker, you mentioned his play, but he was one of the most impressive guys in combine. I mean, just ridiculous athlete. I think he could go higher. I mean, I could see him going as far as 2 or even 1. I think he falls a little bit. I think that the Giants scoop him up with one of their picks.
So I had the same thought as you with the Giants because I have them taking offensive lineman here. I have them going with Charles Cross, the tackle out of Mississippi State. Like you said, they've got plenty of wiggle room. They can see who's there at 5 and kind of make their decision based on that because I don't think they have to rush either. There's a lot of good edge rushers. And there's a lot of good offensive linemen, especially early in this draft. I like Cross to give Daniel Jones some protection, like you talked about. Let Daniel Jones actually show maybe what he has or what he can do. The Giants have a lot of talent on that offense, but that line's held them back for a long, long time. Cross, again, he's faced some of those top-tier rushers playing in the SEC, some of those guys that you'll see go earlier, the Travon Walker. That's going to give him that knowledge, that experience to go up against some of these NFL elite pass rushers and just do enough to give Daniel Jones an opportunity to at least show if he is an NFL caliber quarterback.
Definitely. You think that that's one of the reasons why Panthers was so hard on, are they going quarterback? Are they going elsewhere? Because, I mean, they're kind of sandwiched by the Giants. I bet you they're keeping it as close to the chest as possible so that they aren't losing somebody that the Giants would get in either of their two picks.
Yeah, I think the Panthers might wait until they see what the Giants do. I think the Giants pick at number 5 could decide where the Panthers go. The Giants could just throw a complete curveball and throw everything out, and the Panthers are scrambling, trying to decide between two guys at the last second. It'll be interesting for sure. This draft's unpredictable. The Atlanta Falcons have the 8th pick, kind of a new era in Atlanta with Matt Ryan headed to your Colts. What do you see the Falcons going with?
This one was tough for me. There's a lot of needs here, not a lot of talk about keeping it close to the chest. I mean, all of the experts are saying Atlanta's not giving us anything to work with. The fans, the experts, nobody seems to know what Atlanta is planning on doing. I think after signing Mariota, their biggest concern right now, we need to improve immediately, is to get him some targets. So I actually have the first wide receiver of the draft going. I have Garrett Wilson out of Ohio. I think that in an offense like the Falcons, his play type is going to be a lot more immediately impactful, and so I think that they'll pick him over Olave. But I see them going with Garrett Wilson.
I'm glad that you just said everything you did, because I also have them going wide receiver here. I had some Pac-12 bias here. I'm going to admit it. I think there are some good receivers out of Ohio State, especially like you said. Olave is right there as well. I have Drake London from USC getting drafted by the Falcons. He's a big, strong, physical receiver. You can double team him, and he's still going to go up there and make plays. And I think that makes it extremely tough when you pair him up with Kyle Pitts. I mean, you're going to have two absolute monsters that can go up and win you 50-50 balls. That is going to make it tough on defenses to decide where they want to go with the double, who they want to leave one-on-one. Things are going to get very interesting for the Falcons. It is a bummer that Calvin Ridley's out this year due to that suspension, because that offense has the potential to be kind of sneaky, scary. I think London's a guy that they can go to not obviously not duplicate the speed of Ridley, but I think he can go out there and have a pretty good rookie campaign teaming up with Kyle Pitts.
Definitely.
All right, number 9, one that I know a lot of our viewers are going to be interested in, because we got a lot of Seahawks fans that watch this. Who do you have the Seahawks taking with that pick they got in the Russell Wilson trade?
I have them going defensive end out of Florida State, Jermaine Johnson. I think everyone seems to think that the Hawks are going to trade down, and that's definitely a possibility here. I think that they need to make a statement with where their fan base is right now. I think that they need to make a spicy move. I think they need to go out and get a game maker. I think edge is one of the bigger holes that they need to fill, is on defense, to figure out how to complete that defense. They could absolutely help themselves with someone like Jermaine Johnson.
So I also think the Seahawks could end up drafting out of that spot. But again, we weren't going to even touch drafts or trades, pardon me, not drafts, obviously. No. But I have them taking the best player available at that moment. And I have Ahmad Sauce Gardner from Cincinnati, the corner, going there. I think that'd be a home run for Seahawks fans. I think Seahawks fans would be absolutely stoked with that pick. They would be thrilled. I think they're going to roll with Drew Lock. I don't think they're going to even look at quarterbacks anymore. I think they saw what's there, and I think they're going to be A-okay with just giving Drew Lock a chance. Might not work out, but they can build this defense up. I mean, when Russell Wilson came in, they had an elite defense. That started with the secondary. Gardner could be that next leader on that defense. And like you said, no touchdowns allowed in college at all. That's just unbelievable. I don't care what conference, where you're playing, allowing 0 touchdowns in your college career is incredible. Seahawks could also go offensive line here, but I think they're going to transition to more of a run first, which will kind of negate that the offensive line worries a little bit. But I think Gardner is an obvious pick. If he falls to Seattle, there's no reason to not take him at number 9 for the Seahawks.
If he's still there, absolutely. Yeah.
Number 10, the Jets' second first-round pick. Where do you have him?
I actually wide receiver out of USC, Drake London. Jets are hurting after missing Tyreek Hill. I mean, they were really, really hoping to add some speed and some talent to their wide receiver core. And I think Drake London definitely doesn't make up for that, but he fills a major hole. Plus, it's their second pick in the top 10 of this draft. I think that they can go out and get a weapon that could be a fun pick rather than just filling a defensive need or a lineman, you name it.
Well, Jacob, we're kind of thinking on the same wavelength.
Okay.
That
I like
have
it.
them going wide receiver Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State. So
Just flip-flopped. Yeah.
I love the speed from him. Like you said, they missed out on Tyreek Hill. They obviously want that fast guy. If Wilson's there, they're gonna take him. I think that's almost a shoe. And if they still have this pick, there are a couple receivers that may want out of their current teams, like a Deebo Samuel, that could end up netting someone else a draft pick in that first round. We'll see. I'm not going to put anything past.
I don't think Deebo's in San Francisco. I know damn well he ain't going to the Jets.
Well, I wouldn't want to go to the Jets either, but I don't think Garrett Wilson's going to have a choice. Great receiver. Right. And like you said, it'll give Zach Wilson that number one guy he can go to, a trusted receiver, because their receivers really didn't do much for them last year. Zach Wilson, he showed some potential. He had those games where he just looked really, really good. If they can get him some weapons, that might help, and they'll at least know they're on the right path with him at quarterback. Number 11, the newly named Washington Commanders. I guess this will be the first draft pick ever for the Washington Commanders. Right. Who you have them going with?
Yeah, I see them going with the best overall bang for their buck at this point. I see them getting the safety out of Notre Dame, Kyle Hamilton. I think that kid has lost a lot of perceived value with his lackluster 40s, but I think that his size and his reach give him that versatility. I don't think that the Commanders can pass up at this point.
I have the Commanders going wide receiver. I think they go Jamison Williams from Alabama. Now, hear me out. He's coming off that knee injury. He might not even be able to play this year. I don't think they really need a guy in there right now. They've got Terry McLaurin, who I don't think is going anywhere despite some rumors. I think they're going to keep him. They've got some good young receivers. They've got a good tight end, Logan Thomas, if he can stay on the field. This receiver core is pretty solid. They're going to bring in Carson Wentz, who's a little bit more experienced than Taylor Heineke. See how that changes things. Also, this defense just completely underperformed last year, but they have the potential to be really, really good. This team's not that far off from winning a division, going to a playoff game. They almost beat the Bucs a couple years ago in the wild card round. They're very good. They've got the pieces right now. Jamison Williams might be a move where you look back on it 2 or 3 years from now and say, yeah, that might have actually been a steal to get him that early, because a lot of people have him dropping way, way down, but the talent is there to be taken in the top 10. I think he slips a little bit to 11, but I think he's still going to be a very solid player for the Commanders. He got that flavor. That is for sure. Let's go to another purple team I can't stand, the Minnesota Vikings. Where do you see them going?
I actually have them going with your cornerback that you mentioned earlier in the draft out of LSU, Derek Stingley Jr. I think that Sauce really stole the number one quarterback role again because of Stingley's injuries. I think that the Vikings can handle that gamble more than some of the other teams. And there's some coaching history there. I don't know if you're aware, but there's already some connections. I think it would be a very easy transition for him. I think Vikings are going cornerback, and I think he's the best one still on the board.
I agree. I have them going cornerback. I have them going to that other purple team that I just don't seem to be a fan of. I have them going Trent McDuffie from Washington. Someone I actually met at a Mariners game last season, and he had this aura about him. You just knew when he sat down, you're like, all right, this guy, this is someone. I asked him, and yeah, it's Trent McDuffie from Washington. A very nice person. Was awesome. He's taking
the Mariners win.
Of course, the Mariners won. They beat Cole Irvin, actually.
Okay. See, then we're good.
But he was a bright. It was an awful year for the Huskies last year. Just a nightmare. Terrible season. Trent McDuffie was a big bright spot, though. He played extremely well every single game. He can play in the slot and on the outside, so that gives him that versatility. And playing across from a guy like Patrick Peterson will be absolutely massive. He'll learn so much from Peterson, and that'll be a big, big get for the Vikings. I think McDuffie could be a top 5 corner in this league in the future, especially if he picks up on the things that Patrick Peterson can teach him. That moves things to another tough pick with the Houston Texans. Where do you see them going?
So this time, I'm thinking they're going to need some offensive weapons. I mean, they need help. They basically need everything. Uh, but let's see. I'm going to have them go wide receiver out of Ohio, Chris Olave. I think getting that top deep ball threat could really help them as an offense. They aren't going to do a lot of marching down the field. I think that they need that lofty attack to be able to keep the rest of their offense really alive. I think that it takes a lot of the pressure off of Brandon Cooks. And get this, if their struggles continue, and they will, next year, CJ Stroud.
That is true. There are some good players coming out of the draft next year. All right, at number 13, I am going to have the Texans taking safety Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame. I think, like we said earlier, even, the Texans really can do anything. Kyle Hamilton, he's the best player at this point in my draft, still on the board. The 40 time was a little bit of a concern, not quite as quick as you'd want from a safety. But again, I don't put that much emphasis on combine. In my opinion, I know other people do, and I don't know the exact stats. I could just be a complete idiot and be way wrong on that. And I should put a little bit more in the combine, but I don't right now. And I think Kyle Hamilton has the makings of a guy who can at least be a longevity player in the NFL, have a nice, solid, long career. I don't know if he plays the entire thing with Houston, but I think it'd be a silly move for Houston to pass up on him at this point. To number 14 for the Baltimore Ravens. Where you got them going?
I actually have them going cornerback to Trent McDuffie. Ravens were hurting with injuries last year, especially defense, especially secondary. And then they lost some of their guys to free agency this year. So they need skill. They need depth. I think McDuffie's the guy to do it for them.
I have the Ravens going edge rusher. I think they wanted to do that when they tried to bring Zadarius Smith back. Obviously, that didn't work out. I have them going George Karlaftis out of Purdue. This guy is strong. He's from Greece. He's built like a Greek god. He is just so strong, can manhandle pretty much everyone that you can think of. And again, the Ravens are going to need someone to put pressure on these new mobile quarterbacks. Mitch Trubisky is way more mobile than Ben Roethlisberger was in Pittsburgh. And then you got Joe Burrow as well as Deshaun Watson, guys who can run. So you need to have some way to put some pressure on these quarterbacks. And the Ravens are always known for having a very good defense. I think the one spot they are missing is that edge rusher to really put that pressure on QBs. I think they hit a home run here with Karlaftis. Number 15, the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right. I got them really needing a wide receiver one. They have some depth. They have some average to plus guys. They just got Zach Pascal from the Colts. Watching him a lot last year, I think the talent is there, but they need a wide receiver one. So I actually have them taking Jameson Williams out of Alabama, and I think he is going to be their wide receiver one above Devonta Smith. But they can survive if that injury takes a little bit longer to heal properly. I think he'll be ready to go this year. I really do. But I think that they're going to be in it for the long haul, and he's going to be that for them.
I think Nick Sirianni really found out how effective the run game for the Eagles can be, which is why I don't have them going receiver here. They do have 2 first-round picks. I have them going D-line, Jordan Davis out of Georgia. Again, another one of those guys on that Georgia defense that just dominated college football last year on their way to winning a national championship. I think they're going to need a run stuffer. I think he can be that guy, but he's also quick, can rush the passer from that interior D-line as well. That's pretty rare to get an NFL guy who can rush a quarterback from the defensive tackle position while as well being a dominant run stuffer. So I think that is going to be a very solid pick for the Eagles there in that very interesting division. Now we move to number 16, the New Orleans
will
Saints.
Select Carson Wentz.
That's imagine being. Could you imagine being a Colts fan? This is supposed to be your pick, and
that was rough. That was rough.
Now it's the Saints who get that.
Yeah,
pick.
Indy, then Philly, now New Orleans. Yeah, I have them going offensive lineman out of Mississippi State. I think they're getting Charles Cross. I think that this guy could go as high as you were saying that he is. I think he slips through the cracks more because of desperation in other positions. And so I think, especially with them losing Armstead, I think that they're going to scoop him up if he falls to them. No question.
This is where I have the first quarterback going.
Okay.
I've got Kenny Pickett from Pitt. I know there's a lot of Steelers fans hoping that he ends up there. I think they could trade up again. That's too deep for us. I don't want to play with trades. Kenny Pickett is, I think, the best quarterback in this draft, in my opinion, by a long ways. Again, they talked about hand size. Come on, what are we even doing anymore? He is smart. He's quick. He's strong. He has a good read for the field. He played at a place that really had gone through some tough years in football in Pitt. He kind of brought them back. He had them on the cusp of ACC championships every year. He is just an absolute game changer. And I think the Saints, they gave that short-term deal to Jameis Winston. I don't think they anticipate him sticking around very long. I think it's going to be a whole new change coming to New Orleans, especially with Sean Payton gone as well. Who knows what's going to happen with Alvin Kamara? I think Kenny Pickett is a smart move. Give him a year to learn the ropes, and then maybe bring Sean Payton out of retirement if he likes what he sees from the quarterback.
You're going to have to bring Kamara back too, because I mean, Guile score you 5 touchdowns in a game and then you bench him, and it's not a happy team right now. You need to make your current players happy. I think that they stay with Jamie's for now, at least.
Let's move to 17, the Los Angeles Chargers.
I have them getting a wideout out of Arkansas, Treylon Burks. I think that I could see them going offensive lineman as well, but I think wide receiver really wins that battle with Treylon still being there. I think right now wide receivers are going to start going like hotcakes. And so I think that this guy has good size, good speed to complement an aging Keenan Allen, who's still looking good. But like you were saying with some earlier teams, when you have that elite veteran and that quick rookie, who are you going to double? Who are you going to send those extra guys to? And there are going to be times where they beat you simply because you can't do both.
I do have the Chargers going O-line. I like what you said, though. You can never have too many weapons on offense. They've still got a little bit of a need for one. What about Mike Williams? What's he going to do? Keenan Allen, I don't think he's really slowing down. I think he's going to be pretty consistent throughout his entire career. I have them going Trevor Penning out of Northern Iowa. This is a guy that I've seen a lot of teams talking about potentially trading up to get. So it'd make a lot of sense for the Chargers to go there. They don't need a center. They've got some good pieces already on this line. Their defense is absolutely loaded. Get that offensive line, get them to give Justin Herbert some time back there, some protection. And I think just doing that could take this team to a whole new level. They can go from missing the playoffs to a Super Bowl contender very, very quickly. Let's move to the Philadelphia Eagles, their second first-round pick.
Yeah, I have them going defensive lineman this time. Jordan Davis. This guy is an absolute monster. With Eagles expecting some holes to develop in their line as early as next year, getting Davis this late is a amazing long-term pick. And if you have him with your current line this year, that is just terrifying. He has the ability to, if a guy cuts back inside, he's done.
I have them going defense as well. I have them going linebacker Devin Lloyd out of Utah. This guy really burst onto the scene. He's a good leader. He can kind of run the defense if you need him to. And the Eagles, they might need someone like that centerpiece, the mouthpiece, if you will, of that defense, especially with some of their aging players moving on. Fletcher Cox, for example. Lloyd's just a very, very all-around good player. Can affect the pass game. He's quick. He can affect the run game, fill up those gaps, go tackle a running back in the backfield or on the edge. He can really do it all. I really like what I saw from Devin Lloyd at Utah in his collegiate career. And I really, really think he might be an immediate impact player wherever he ends up this season.
Definitely.
Let's move to the Saints' second first-round pick at number 19.
Saints already got the offensive line covered, so let's get him a strong weapon to throw to now. I got him going wide receiver out of Penn State, Jahan Dotson. Dude's as slippery as they come, huge deep threat. And like I was saying earlier, I honestly think that they're going to stick with Jamies for a little while and getting him a target to ease the run game's necessities a little bit. I think that's going to be high on their list.
Well, I had them going quarterback with their first pick in the first round. I have them getting him some protection this time. I have them going with the offensive tackle, Bernard Raymond from Central Michigan. Again, the Saints are kind of in a tough spot. They don't really know what they're going to have this year. They have all sorts of issues. We talked about Kamara, also Michael Thomas. You just don't really know what they're going to have. And I'm a big believer in offensive line. I've already mentioned it is the centerpiece of the team. If you put together a good offensive line, everything can kind of fit in place around it. It's almost like a puzzle. The offensive line is the border of the puzzle. That's the first thing you do. You put that together and all of a sudden everything can just fill in between. That is an awesome analogy, by the way. I think Raymond could be a great guy to kind of set that standard for the Saints, that they're going to try and build this offensive line back up, get them back to having a very good and balanced offense. And then I think you can see everything fall into place, especially defensively and whatnot around that. Let's go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Interesting pick coming up here at 20 for Pittsburgh.
Yep. And I actually do have them stealing Kenny Pickett. I think that they are looking for their next franchise quarterback. Definitely a down year for quarterbacks, but honestly, to get him at 20 is an absolute steal. If he's there, without question, they will take him. The city already loves the kid. He doesn't have to play right now. He can sit for a year until he's ready to come on up. But honestly, he's probably more ready than most. He's already got a 5th year under his belt. So I mean, what are you waiting for? Like, get him and let's see what he can do.
Yeah, it'd be really cool to see a guy go from playing college in the same city right to playing for their NFL team. Again, I already have him going. If I was a betting man and we were talking trades, I think the Steelers trade up and get him. But for this sake, I have them going a quarterback as well, Desmond Ridder out of Cincinnati. I think he really got into the national spotlight with that Bearcat squad last season, taking them to the college football playoff. He's very athletic, can move around, which is what NFL quarterbacks are nowadays. He's faced some very, very good competition in college as well. I mean, he just went up against Alabama in the playoff. I think Ridder could be one of those guys who isn't ever anything like an MVP candidate, but he's going to be a guy who can go out there and win you games and put you in a position to get to the Super Bowl.
Definitely.
Let's move to the New England Patriots. Interesting new era for the Patriots. What do you see them doing at 21?
I got them going linebacker, Devin Lloyd. Amazing versatility on defense. Expert already at the game of football. I just hear everyone screaming how this kid fits a Bill Belichick team like a glove. And so, I mean, unless he gets stolen, like your draft says a lot earlier, I see the Patriots nabbing him.
I'm going to have the Patriots going offensive line. They made it no secret that they're going to be a run first team now. They've got a couple of really, really good running backs already. So I have them going O-line, Tyler Linderbaum out of Iowa. These guys in the Midwest, these linemen can just run right through you immediately coming out of college. The Big Ten, I think, is the best place to go for linemen. Linderbaum is just the kind of guy that New England needs. Again, they're going to run kind of hide Mac Jones until they really think he can be the guy to carry this team, try and take the pressure off of him. We'll see. Linderbaum, I think, is a very, very safe pick for whoever gets him. I think it's a really, really good fit, though, for him to go to New England. Yeah. Now let's move to number 22, the Green Bay Packers. 2 first-round picks for now. What do you have them doing at 22?
Must be nice to have 2. I mean, I'd take 1. Come on. I think this is the year. I think this is the year. Packers are going with a wide receiver in the first round. They need a top-notch weapon. They need someone who can block from time to time, and that is none other than Georgia's own George Pickens.
I also have them going receiver. You said you wanted 1 first-round pick. I'd rather have Devontae Adams in this pick, if I'm being honest. But here we are.
That's fair.
I also, like I said, I have them going wide receiver. I have them going Chris Olave from Ohio State.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of question marks on where receivers really start to fall. I've seen a big run on receivers in that spot 8 through 12. I've seen them wait until the very end, about right here, where receivers start to go. I think Olave is the guy that the Packers really like. I think they're going to do whatever they can to land him. And I think he actually just falls into their lap at number 22. And I think this is a great, great selection. Like you said, the Packers have some of the best blocking wide receivers in football. If you ever watch tape on Allen Lazard, he takes pride in the blocking. So they got to have a guy who can fit in on that, but they also have to have a guy who can go turn on the Jets, because they didn't just lose Devontae Adams. They lost Marquez Valdez-Scantling, an absolute burner. Chris Olave can be great to replace MVS and really take over that deep threat.
I like what you said there. I just think he's going to be gone already, but perfect.
Number 23, the Arizona Cardinals. Interesting spot for them after kind of flaming out down the stretch last season.
Yeah. Like I mentioned a few picks ago, I think that the wide receivers really start going here. I think Cardinals are looking for a wide receiver, but the ones that they were eyeing are mostly gone at this point. So I tell you, I see them going defensive end. I see them going George Karlaftis. I think that honestly, I could see that flip-flopping and Karlaftis going Green Bay and Pickens going to Arizona. But I think that Cardinals could really utilize somebody who is able to take some of the pressure, put some of the pressure on the quarterback. They took a big step back last year. And as far as being able to pressure the quarterback. So I think that with what's available on the board still, I think that that's where they're going to focus.
Yeah, they lost Chandler Jones to free agency this year. He's no longer there. So I have them going edge as well. I have them going Jermaine Johnson, second from Florida State. I think he's a very solid player. I think he's a guy, again, who can come right in and really take over, make an impact. This division is absolutely loaded. You got to be able to get after the passer. You got to be able to play solid defense. Jermaine Johnson, he's very quick on the end. He can do a lot of good things. He can set the edge, shut down that outside run game that a lot of teams will try and do, like, say, a San Francisco 49ers squad. Kind of condense everything inside, and I really think that he would actually be a lot higher up if Florida State would have played better, got him more of a spotlight, but I think he's a really solid pick, and I think the Cardinals definitely have to go edge rusher. Jermaine Johnson really fits the bill for them. Let's go to the Dallas Cowboys.
What did they say? Look at the player, not the helmet. Like, that's a good, solid pick.
Let's go to the Dallas Cowboys now at number 24. Heartbreaking season for them. I know a buddy of mine that loves watching this podcast. He's a Cowboys fan. What do you see them doing?
I see them going offensive lineman, Trevor Penning. I think if he falls this far, that is a gift from God. They should take it. They should protect their people. They're needing a guard a lot more than a tackle right now. Penning took a few snaps at both. So I really think that he's going to be able to come in and do whatever they need him to. I think that he's going to really help their offensive line if they can get him at 24.
Again, we're right on the same page. I have them going offensive line. I have them going with a guy who can play both tackle and guard. I have them going Kenyon Green, though, out of Texas A&M. He got a lot of starts at both. I already have Penning gone off the board, so Kenyon Green is the next best thing. He's done it both. He's succeeded at both. He looks like a very, very solid player. That Texas A&M offensive line was very strong last year. He was kind of the anchor of that line. The Cowboys build up this incredible offensive line. That's pretty much all gone now. They got to rebuild, refocus on that. And I think Kenyon Green could be a great centerpiece to put this new Dallas Cowboys offensive line 2.0, if you will, into fruition. Let's go to the Buffalo Bills, a new interesting decision for them after adding Von Miller. What do you see the Bills doing here?
If anyone was going to take a running back, I was going to say it was the Bills. I didn't have them taking a running back, though. I have them actually going cornerback, the last piece of the puzzle to complete that defense. I have them going Kaiir Elam. I just think that out of the cornerbacks that are still there, this kid is amazing. He showed a lot of promise, and I think that the Bills are going to be able to utilize him and have repeat best defense of the year.
I have the Bills going D-line. I have them going Devontae Wyatt from, guess where, Georgia. I think this Georgia defense was just loaded with NFL talent. I think he's a good interior guy. They kind of address the outside of the defensive line and getting Von Miller. Devontae Wyatt can be the guy who's on the inside. I mean, the Patriots really just ran through them in that windy Monday night game. You got to have someone in there to kind of slow that down. Devontae Wyatt could be that guy because a lot of the teams in that division, I mean, you look at New England's going to run the football. I think the Jets want to run the football to take pressure off of Zach Wilson as well. The Dolphins, they're not going to run the football. Probably. I mean, their new head coach likes to. So you got to be prepared if they do decide to change their method on offense. Devontae Wyatt,
I think with their offseason, they're going to stick with the air.
It will. We'll see. You never, ever know. The Tennessee Titans are the next on the clock at number 26.
Titans really need a quarterback here. I think there's quite a few ones on the board. No, I think that the guy that helps them immediately get better with what they do right now is a monster of a center. And I think if you were to create a center in a lab, it would look exactly like Tyler Lindenbaum. If he stays healthy, he's going to let Henry do what Henry does. And I think that that's what you need to focus on if you're the Tennessee Titans.
I also have the Titans going O-line. I have them going Zion Johnson out of Boston College. I think, like you said, the Titans, they need to protect Ryan Tannehill and they need to block for Derrick Henry. That is their key to success. Those two guys right there. Because when Tannehill's under pressure, he's turning the football over. And Derrick Henry, you want him getting hit as few times as possible by those big guys up the middle. So I think you got to invest in a way to help him. I think Zion Johnson's a very, very good run blocker. Playing at Boston College, you almost have to be with their offense that they run there. I think this guy could be an immediate impact player once again for the Titans because that playoff game was just disastrous from their offensive line against the Bengals. They need help there.
Yeah.
Let's move to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 27. We thought maybe they'd be in need of a quarterback, but they solved that very quickly. Who do you have them going for?
I also have them going offensive line. I have them going Zion Johnson. Honestly, I think that his ability as a pass blocker was kind of overshadowed there. I think that he could really help in a stay in the pocket type offense like what Tom Brady is obviously going to do. I think with the other offensive linemen that are still on the board, especially you mentioned Kenyon Green going earlier. I think Kenyon Green has a lot more potential upside, but I think as far as surefire thing, hitting it right down the fairway, you're safe. I think that you got to go Zion Johnson. He is an immediate improvement to that offensive line, and then they can use picks later on to address some other needs.
I think Johnson's floor is pretty high for coming straight out of college. I think the Buccaneers, though, I think they go to that defense. They were beat up a lot last season. And injuries always concern me. It's already been a theme on our podcast for any sport. I have them going edge rusher. I have them going David Ajabo from Michigan. I think that is just going to make this defense even scarier. The only thing on offense that they might need, like you said, is offensive line. Everything else is pretty set in stone there. But I think go ahead and get your edge guy. Be prepared because you're going to lose some of those pieces of that Super Bowl winning defense when they start to move on, when their contracts run up. You're not going to be able to keep them all. You got to start planning for the future. Ajabo is a fantastic pass rusher, fantastic on the edge. Him and Aidan Hutchinson were unbelievable to watch in college. This guy's explosive, and I think he's going to be a game wrecker for Tampa Bay. Let's go to the second pick for the Packers in the first round at number 28.
So I was really tempted to go double receiver in the first here. I'd love to see it. Maybe steal Sky Moore, but I mean, it's Green Bay. It's just not going to happen. Other than adding targets to throw to, they really don't need much help on the offense. Even their offensive line, it really outperformed themselves last year. So I could see them going edge here. I think that out of Penn State, you got Arnold Ebiketie. This kid really took a gamble on himself, transferred from Temple to Penn State last year. I think it really paid off. I think he can sneak into the first round with a team that knows what they want and have the ability to develop them properly. I think he's going to be your new favorite Packer.
I have the Packers going quarterback here. No, I'm just kidding. Everyone calm down.
And he retires right now. Jeopardy has its new host.
I have the Packers going to the Georgia defense. I have them going linebacker Nakobe Dean. This guy was the leader of this Georgia defense. I think the Packers would be a fool not to take him. I think Devondre Campbell, obviously, they just locked him up. He's coming off an all-pro season. He was unbelievable for the amount of money they got him for. If they can bring in Nakobe Dean, this defense can be the lead, can take this team as the strong suit. They'll take so much pressure off of Aaron Rodgers. He might only need to score 13, 14 points to win the game. Should be able to do that 99 times out of 100. I think Green Bay is really going to focus on their defense. I think, like you said, next to wide receiver, not really anything you need, especially offensive line. I mean, you didn't even get David Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins on the field together last season. That left side is impenetrable almost when those two guys are on the field. They got Josh Myers as their future center. He was great when he was on the field. I think this team is set up for success. I think the defense is really you just got to find those little few missing pieces. Nakobe Dean, I think, is a great pick for wherever he goes once again, but man, he's the guy I want the Packers to get so badly. All right, at number 29, the Kansas City Chiefs. Where do you see the Chiefs going? No Tyreek Hill.
Back-to-back picks. The Chiefs are not as complete of a team as they've been in the past years. They need offensive line help. They need wide receivers. But most importantly to me, they need to improve their defense. Top wide receivers are gone. I think that they can use later picks to get valuable people at those picks to cover their wide receiver needs. A lot of solid guys you can get in later rounds there. So back-to-back picks, I think first they are going to address safety. They're going to come out of Dax Hill out of Michigan. Very versatile. Some people are kind of throwing the Matthew replacement around. I don't think he's quite there, but he can just do whatever they need him to and play the plays that they lost with other guys leaving.
So at 29, like you said, back-to-back picks, they can really go in any order here. At 29, though, I'm going to have them taking a wide receiver because I have one of the top receivers slipping. I have Treylon Burks dropping to the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they grab him immediately.
If he's there, absolutely. Yeah.
Again, with Tyreek Hill gone, they bring in Juju Smith-Schuster. He's not nearly what Tyreek Hill is. He's going to have one of his best seasons ever, but that's just the way the Chiefs are built. I've seen Tom Brady on TikTok recently, so there might be something there. But Treylon Burks, a superstar, very quick, very athletic, very long, can go up there and get those hard to catch balls. I think he is a really good pick for whoever gets him. Then the Chiefs at number 30. I mean, back-to-back picks. It's going to be hard to kind of figure out why'd they go this way, this pick, this way, the next. What do you see them doing at 30?
I see them going defense again. This time defensive end. I see Boye Mafe out of Minnesota. I think that edge is the biggest glaring need for the Chiefs. I think that there are some solid choices in free agency this year. And with a stacked draft class, I think that it's going to allow some guys that really comparatively might not be as valuable at 30, but skill-wise, absolutely. And so I think that getting such a solid pick like Mafe so late in the first round, take him and use him. That's a gift.
I have them going corner here. I have them going Andrew Booth Jr. out of Clemson. They're going to need to figure out a way to get the secondary, especially in the division that they're in now with so many weapons. You got to have some guys on the back end to slow down the passing attack. Andrew Booth Jr. is the best corner available at this point. They're not going to get one of the top tier corners because those guys will be way long gone by this point. Andrew Booth Jr. will be the next best thing, though. He'll be a solid player. I don't think he's one of those guys who comes in and immediately dominates, especially against the competition he's going to face. But down the road, 2 or 3 years, you can look back and say, man, that was a pretty solid late round pick for the Chiefs. Let's move to number 31, the reigning AFC champions, the Cincinnati Bengals. What do you see them doing besides the obvious?
I see them going cornerback out of Clemson Andrew Booth Jr. for all of the reasons aforementioned. No, Bengals know Eli Apple isn't their long-term solution. Just signed him to a one-year deal. I think that they're going to be looking to bring a rookie in either as a fourth to learn under the three that they got, or immediately take one of those spots if they earn it in training camp. And I think that Booth has that potential to do that. So I agree with you. He is the best corner available still. And I think that he falls one more pick to the Bengals.
So I have the Bengals trying to fix this offensive line. It's still not exactly where you want it to be. They did improve it last season, but this is where you flash up the Matt Bias sign once again, because I have them going with an offensive lineman out of Washington State, Abraham Lucas. This guy is a stud. Again, you don't see at Washington State the linemen run block very much. They, especially in that new offense that they are running, the run and shoot, there was still a lot of shooting, a lot of throwing the ball downfield. Lucas, he can do it all. I mean, he adapted to the new system. All the guys at Washington State couldn't say enough. He constantly had to go up against top tier guys. He went up against Kayvon Thibodeaux a lot in that game against Oregon, and he did a pretty solid job in slowing him down. Abe Lucas is a guy that I think, are going to want to go ahead and take a shot on. I think he ends up going earlier than people expect because of everything he's done already in college and his size and strength. This guy is just ridiculous. And yes, I am a Washington State Coug fan.
I knew it was coming.
Nonetheless,
31, that's pretty. You withheld yourself well.
I couldn't do anything. You don't want to know how bad I want to put Max Borghi in this first round. Let's go to round out the first round of the draft. The Lions getting another pick at 32 because the Rams don't believe in draft picks. What do you see the Lions doing?
Right. I mean, who needs them? You win this big game.
Exactly.
You don't need to do a draft for the next 7 years. Remember, I already have the Lions just pouncing on a quarterback way early. Obviously, if that's not the case, they will come up with a quarterback here. But if they already address that need, I think that they are going safety out of Penn State, Waquan Brisker. I think that they could shop around for some wide receivers in round 2 or 3, as I mentioned earlier, and you took the last guy that I had. A lot of the top tier wide receivers are already gone. And so I think that they're going to pull the trigger on one of the best performing safeties at the combine. I know you don't take as much stock in this, but that guy was just impressive. And he has some of the best play recognition, which is very important in a safety. So I think that someone's going to nab him a lot higher than what a lot of mocks are saying. A lot of mocks have him in the 2nd or even the 3rd round, but I think that the Lions are going to snatch him up with pick number 32.
So I have the Lions going safety as well to wrap up this first round. I have them going once again to that Georgia defense. Lewis Cine. The Georgia Bulldogs, we already talked about them a lot. I'm going to try to not talk about them anymore. Lewis Cine is a guy who can lead this defense. The Lions have kind of picked different pieces to go after early in the drafts recently. And I think now that they have 2 first-round picks
early in the draft,
they always have a lot of picks early in the draft. But they kind of got offensive line. They went corner. I think having a safety on the back end, a very fast safety with Cine, I think can all of a sudden change how this defense is looked at, kind of adapt to what's going on around the league. And I think that is to try and slow down these new speedy receivers that so many teams are bringing.
Crazy.
Best way to counter that, speed on the back end. So that is going to do it for our first round mock draft. We are going to actually have in the description both of our entire first rounds, so you can kind of follow along on draft night, see who's looking good in our score or in our competition, and the winner's going to get the first ever soapbox moment on our next episode. And who knows what that could be about? It could be about, I don't know, a quarterback out of Tennessee, maybe, to talk about. Who knows what that's going to look like.
No, I wouldn't waste it on that scrub.
That is going to do it for our mock draft. When we come back, Luke Kilgore is going to hop back on. We're going to talk more NBA playoff basketball. That's all coming up next year on the Kingsmen.
many ways for businesses to expand their customer base, but one of the tried and true ways of increasing customer loyalty and recognizing employees is to put your name and logo on promotional and motivational items. You can find a wide selection at Alderson's Awards West Printwares in Centralia. Shirts, hats, coats, mugs, pens, and more, all with high-quality screen printing or embroidery done on site. For a full catalog of items at great prices, go to aldersons.net, and remember, you will get maximum impact at Awards West Printwares.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Kingsmen. Obviously, things look different. We had some technical issues with the Luke portion of the podcast, so we were unfortunately not able to salvage it, and that is why Luke will not be on this week. But we are going to go ahead and run down what's going on in the NBA playoffs real quick, and then we'll kind of let you know what's going on next week and the week after that. So let's start with the East. The Miami Heat just finished off the Atlanta Hawks. They won that series 4-1. Trae Young could never really get going for Atlanta. They just didn't really have the depth, the scoring balance to really compete with a very defensively minded Miami Heat squad. The Heat kind of just dominated that entire series. The Hawks got that one win on a buzzer beater that helped them avoid the sweep. But the Heat just too balanced, too deep, took care of business. The Philadelphia 76ers now having some trouble with the Toronto Raptors. They still lead 3-2, getting ready for game 6. That'll be on Thursday. So the day this podcast comes out, those two teams will be going at it later that night. The Raptors seem to have figured something out. Pascal Siakam has all of a sudden stepped up, and they're doing it without Fred VanVleet right now as well. So really, guys stepping up for the Raptors is very nice to see. They're making it a competitive series. They're going to still have to win 2 more in a row to finish off the 76ers. The Sixers just got to get that one win. But, man, it feels like things are unspiraling for them. They got to try and get this win. They don't want to limp across the finish line in this series and not be at 100% and with the momentum on their side going into what would be a second round series with the Heat. The next Eastern Conference series, the Bucks leading 3-1 on the Bulls. The Bucks just dominating games 3 and 4, really has been not even close. Just really ran through Chicago on their own court. Now Milwaukee gets to head back home, just needing one more win to finish off that series. I expect them to take care of business. Now, losing in another game for the Bucks might actually benefit them. It might give Chris Middleton a little bit more time to heal before heading into the next round, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Bucks finish the job. It will be tonight. So by the time this comes out, you already know if they're moving on to the next round or not. In the next round, they will take on the Boston Celtics, who swept the Brooklyn Nets in what was really a stunner. I know Luke had the Nets going to the NBA Finals. That obviously not happening anymore. They just could not figure things out. I still don't understand the Ben Simmons situation 100%, but Boston, man, they look really, really good. The balance, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart stepping up, Robert Williams back defensively. That is trouble for anyone who goes up against the Celtics. And right now they look like the best team in the NBA playoffs. And I'm not really sure how close it even is. The Celtics going to be a team to watch from here on out. In the West, the Phoenix Suns taking a 3-2 series lead over the Pelicans. Pelicans, they're a handful. They're giving them a big, big fight. Brandon Ingram's played extremely well. They're still without Zion, who I don't think we're going to see at all for the remainder of this series. CJ McCollum also playing well, like Luke talked about last week. He's going to get his points. He's going to drop you 20. It's just what can everyone else do around him. Valanciunas has continued to play really well, but Phoenix, they're stepping up without Devin Booker. Bridges went off last night, getting 33, I believe it was, just really pouring it on. Very, very impressive performance from it. And we still haven't seen Chris Paul really have that Chris Paul style game, which I think we're going to be seeing here in what would be game 6. I think the Suns still finish them off there. The 4-5 matchup, Dallas up 3-2 on the Jazz. Luka coming back has been just a complete game changer. Dallas has looked just far better than the Jazz since Luka stepped back out onto the court. And I think they actually also take care of business in a game 6, finish off that series to get to the Western Conference semis where they would take on, I think, Phoenix. But again, you just never know with some of those injuries. Another game going on tonight, the 3-seed Golden State Warriors take on the 6-seed Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets avoided being swept. We'll see how long they can drag out this series for. It could finish tonight with the way the Warriors are playing. Klay Thompson, if he gets his shot down, good luck, because Steph Curry and Jordan Poole just continue to pour in the points. It is going to be tough to stop that Golden State offense. You're going to have to beat them in shootouts. And the last series is a very interesting one. The Memphis Grizzlies up 3-2 on the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves, they've blown 2 straight. They could have finished this series off already. They got to find a way to close out games. They can't let the Grizzlies hang around, and that's just what they've done. John Morant starting to get that playoff chip on his shoulder, especially after Patrick Beverley kind of jawed at him a little bit, calling him a little man. He went off, and he really finished strong in that Game 5 victory for the Grizzlies. I just don't see the Timberwolves bouncing back from 2 big blown leads. I think the Grizzlies are going to finish them off. No Western Conference series is done yet, but all of them on the brink of finishing things off. With all that being said, next week there will not be a new episode. Got a lot of things on the schedule here, work schedule for all of us. Luke's also got some finals for his college classes. So things getting very, very busy next week. So we decided to just take next week off, come back here in a couple weeks. We'll have our draft results, the first round of the NFL draft taking place tonight. So Jacob and I will have the winner of our little competition, and of course, a soapbox moment for whoever wins that one as well. Also, make sure you are following us on our socials. I'm going to tag them in the bio below. Make sure you're following us, show the support. We also have a new little mini series on those socials. They're called Mariner Minis. We're going to release them after every Mariners series. We just dropped the first one recapping the homestand. If you're just more interested in just the Mariners aspect of baseball, you can go check those out. Once again, thank you so much for the support, and we will see you in 2 weeks for another episode of the Kingsmen here on the Eli Sports Network.